Welcome to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, the most famous house in America, where the furniture is antique, the history is rich, and apparently the ghost-to-human ratio is disturbingly high. While some homes have creaky floorboards or suspicious drafts, the White House has full-on phantoms with name recognition. Let's take a tour, shall we? And watch your step. There's ectoplasm in the carpet. First up is the man, the myth, the beard, Abraham Lincoln. You'd think after being one of the most iconic presidents in history, Abe would finally relax. Nope. Honest Abe has been the most frequently spotted ghost in the White House. First Lady Grace Coolidge said she saw him looking out the window of the Oval Office. Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands actually fainted when Lincoln appeared in her room. And Winston Churchill? The man supposedly stepped out of a hot bath, walked into the room naked, and came face to face with Lincoln's ghost. He calmly said, "Good evening, Mr. President. You seem to have me at a disadvantage." The real question here, why is Lincoln haunting the living, and why does he always pick the moments with the worst lighting? Now, if you thought Mary Todd Lincoln took the death of her son hard, you'd be right. She didn't just take it hard, she practically took the entire White House into mourning with her. When her beloved son Willie Lincoln died in 1862, Mary Todd Lincoln was devastated. And devastated is putting it lightly. This wasn't just grief, it was full-blown Victorian spiritual meltdown. She wore black for the rest of her life, banned people from saying his name around her. After little Willie Lincoln died in the White House, Mary became obsessed with spiritualism and held seances in the Red Room. Imagine dinner parties followed by dessert and a summoning of the dead. It's said that the spirit of Willie still wanders the halls, occasionally chatting with staff and visiting presidents' children. Some claim President Lyndon B. Johnson's daughter even spoke with him. Most kids have imaginary friends. In the White House, you get actual dead ones. Then we've got Abigail Adams, who just couldn't let go of her domestic duties. She used to hang laundry in the East Room, and today White House staff have seen her ghost floating through with her arms outstretched like she's still carrying a basket of damp sheets. Honestly, if I died and still had to do laundry, I'd haunt the living too, violently. Next, meet Dolly Madison. Known for her charm and poise, Dolly once threw the best parties in Washington, D.C., but don't mess with her landscaping. When the Rose Garden was almost removed, Dolly's ghost reportedly showed up and scared the bejesus out of the workers. Nobody dared touch her flowers after that. You've heard of bridezillas. Dolly was a gardenzilla. And now, the ever-so-delightfully angry Andrew Jackson. This man was so loud in life that even in death he's stomping around and cursing in the Rose Room. Mary Todd Lincoln herself said she heard him stomping and swearing from beyond the grave. It's comforting to know that even the afterlife didn't mellow him out. Old Hickory's still got some kick. Things get weird with the demon cat. That's right, not just a ghost, but a ghost cat. Supposedly, this fluffy harbinger of doom shows up before major national tragedies and grows to the size of a lion before vanishing. Security guards and Capitol staff have reported seeing it before the stock market crash and even the JFK assassination. So if you're ever in Washington, D.C. and see a panther-sized feline strutting down a hallway, maybe cancel your plans. One of the eerier legends involves the Thing. Not to be confused with Marvel. This invisible presence is known for putting a cold hand on your shoulder or making you feel watched. President Taft even issued a formal order that anyone mentioning the Thing would be fired. Nothing like ghost-based HR violations to keep morale high. More recently, Jenna Bush Hager has spilled the beans on her own ghostly encounters. She said she heard 1920s piano music playing one night when no one else was around. Her husband also liked to go ghost hunting in the White House after a few drinks. Honestly, who wouldn't? A little Chardonnay and a chat with Lincoln, sign me up. Back to Willie Lincoln for a second. His ghost isn't just a frequent flyer around his mother's old seance circles. He's been seen by multiple people over the years. His youthful spirit, perhaps confused or attached to his old home, seems to pop up in bedrooms, hallways, and the occasional awkward family photo. His hauntings are often described as gentle or sad, which is probably more than we can say for most living politicians. And there's the British soldier from the War of 1812. Legend has it he tried to burn down a bed in the White House, the same way the British torched the place back in the day. You have to admire the commitment. That's a grudge held through centuries and a couple dimensions. Harry S. Truman, the 33rd President of the United States, didn't just run the country. He apparently shared the White House with ghosts, and he knew it. Truman was one of the few presidents who openly acknowledged strange happenings at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And not in a subtle, oh how curious kind of way. No, Truman flat out wrote letters to his wife Bess describing weird bumps, creaks, and unexplainable events that had him convinced the White House was haunted. In May of 1946, Truman wrote a letter to Bess while she was away visiting family. Here's part of what he said. I sit here in this old house and work on foreign affairs, read reports, and work on speeches. All the while listening to the ghosts walk up and down the hallway and even right here in the study. The floors pop and the drapes move back and forth. I can just imagine old Andy Jackson and Teddy Roosevelt having an argument. Truman heard footsteps, saw moving drapes, and imagined full-blown ghost debates going down just outside his door. He called the White House "this old house," like it was a Scooby-Doo mansion, and described the sounds of someone pacing outside his bedroom at night. One night, Truman was asleep in the White House when he was jolted awake by 3 loud knocks at his bedroom door around 4 a.m. Thinking it might be urgent, he got up and opened the door, but no one was there. He immediately went to check with the Secret Service, thinking someone might be messing around, but no one had seen or heard anything. Classic ghost behavior. According to Truman, the hallway was completely empty, and still, he felt like someone was standing just out of sight. He was so spooked by the event that he wrote another letter to Bess, jokingly telling her to hurry back before the ghosts got too comfortable. Truman once said the White House was the greatest haunted house in America. And he wasn't being poetic. The creaky floors, weird cold spots, and those mysterious sounds convinced him that former presidents, or at least something, was still hanging around. It's worth noting that during Truman's presidency, the White House was literally falling apart. In 1948, parts of the ceiling were caving in, and the entire structure was deemed unsafe, leading to a massive renovation. While engineers chalked the creaking and groaning up to structural issues, Truman was like, nah, ghosts. So, when you hear that Harry Truman believed the White House was haunted, know this, he didn't just believe it, he experienced it. The man was dealing with the Cold War, atomic diplomacy, and international tensions, and still had time to worry about ghostly hallway pacing. Ronald Reagan's dog Rex had one of the most positively eerie encounters in White House paranormal history. And if you've ever owned a dog, you know they don't lie about ghosts. Mailmen? Maybe. But ghosts, they're on it. Let's rewind to the 1980s. President Ronald Reagan had a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel named Rex, a pampered, fluffy little guy with a royal name and the courage of a Chihuahua. While Rex wasn't exactly presidential material, he barked at staff and once refused to go near Nancy's hairdresser. But he did something that raised more than just eyebrows. White House staff noticed that Rex absolutely refused to enter a certain room, the Lincoln bedroom. Now, lots of people find that room creepy, especially after hearing Honest Abe has a habit of standing by the fireplace. But dogs, they don't fake it. Every time Reagan or staff tried to coax Rex into the room, the dog would freeze at the doorway, growl, whimper, and back away like it was on fire. Even treats didn't work, and if you know anything about dogs, turning down snacks is serious business. It wasn't just a one-time thing. Rex consistently avoided the Lincoln bedroom and even barked at empty corners near the doorway. Reagan, who was known to be open to astrology and a bit of the mystical, took note of it. Reagan reportedly told guests about Rex's behavior, often with a nervous laugh. While he didn't go full Ghostbusters in public, insiders say he was genuinely curious and more than a little creeped out. Nancy Reagan, who famously consulted astrologers during his presidency, likely wasn't surprised either. Paranormal was basically their side hobby. In private, Reagan allegedly joked that Lincoln's ghost might still be giving presidential advice or just scaring dogs for entertainment. Either way, Rex wasn't wagging his tail about it. To make matters spookier, the Lincoln bedroom is one of the most famously haunted rooms in the White House. Multiple guests over the years have claimed to see Lincoln standing at the foot of the bed, pacing, or looking out the window. Winston Churchill saw him. Queen Wilhelmina fainted when Lincoln allegedly appeared. So Rex's refusal to enter? That's not paranoia, that's survival instinct. While Rex never gave a press conference, he left that to his humans. His behavior was loud and clear. There's something in that room and I want no part of it. Good boy, Rex. You saw what others couldn't, and you had the good sense to turn around. Michelle Obama once revealed that during their stay, there were unexplainable noises at night, particularly the sound of footsteps in the hallway when nobody was around. She described it as if someone was pacing back and forth outside their bedroom, but when they'd check, no Secret Service agents, no aides, no Sasha or Malia, just empty space. Now, if it had happened once, maybe you chalk it up to creaky floorboards. But it happened more than once, repeatedly, and always in the same spot. Creepy, right? White House staff and guests during Obama's presidency reported hearing piano music in rooms where no piano existed. In one instance, a butler heard ragtime piano playing softly late at night in the yellow Oval Room, which hasn't had a piano in decades. Unless the ghost of Scott Joplin was visiting, it's hard to explain. This musical mystery wasn't unique to Obama's years, but it was still very much ongoing. Michelle Obama told the Washington Post that there is something about the house that feels alive. She never flat out said the word haunted, but come on. When the First Lady describes the building like it's a sentient being, you know things got spooky after dark. She also mentioned how Sasha and Malia would sometimes avoid certain rooms at night, and how dogs, Bo and Sonny, were known to bark at seemingly nothing. It wasn't just the Obamas who felt the chills. Several staff members and security guards admitted they avoided certain hallways and rooms after dark. One guard reportedly said, "You hear things you can't explain. Sometimes I just walk the long way around, even if it adds 10 minutes." The Lincoln bedroom was once again the center of many of these unnerving moments. Even with all the lights on, people claimed the room just felt off. One aide allegedly asked if she could avoid cleaning it at night after hearing footsteps inside while it was supposed to be empty. While there's no confirmed Obama ghost moment in the theater, it's long been rumored that the basement, where the movie room is located, is one of the most haunted parts of the building. Staff from multiple administrations have reported sudden chills, flickering lights, and the sensation of being watched. So, imagine trying to enjoy Toy Story 3 with your kids, only to feel Abraham Lincoln judging your popcorn choices from the shadows. So next time you tour the White House, remember, you're not just walking through history. You're walking through the company of presidents, first ladies, children, soldiers, cats, and God knows what else. And if you feel a chill on your shoulder or hear piano music from nowhere, don't panic. Be sure to check out my other videos in my playlist titled Ghost Stories. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.